All right, let's talk about it. Spending versus saving. It's kind of like this constant financial tug of war, right? It pretty much defines our lives. So today, we're going to unpack the real story behind American money habits. We're looking at some fresh data from the American Balance Report to figure out, where our money actually goes and maybe, just maybe, how we can start to take back a little bit of control. You know that feeling? Your paycheck hits the bank, you pay your bills, you buy some groceries, you live a little, and then poof, you're left wondering, where did it all go? If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are definitely not alone. Understanding that feeling is really the first step to seeing the bigger picture of our finances.
So to really get a handle on this, let's start with just one number, $6,500. Now, this isn't just some random statistic. This is the average credit card debt for one person in the US. It's really the starting point for our story because it shows the immense pressure we're all under on the spending side of things.
Okay, so let's fire up this engine, the American spending machine. We all have a pretty good idea of where our own money goes, right? But when you zoom out and look at all the data together, the picture it paints can be, well, pretty surprising. Let's break it all down. So check out this chart. It lays out the average American's budget. And, no big shocker here, housing is the biggest slice of the pie, eating up about a third of our income. But here's what's really interesting. Look at the second biggest category, 17%. That's transportation. Our cars, gas, public transit, we spend more on that than almost anything else. Let me just put that in perspective for a second. Think about this. This simple fact from the data is kind of wild. On average, we spend more money just getting around than we do on the actual food we eat. That's a huge tell about how our modern lives are set up, whether we chose it or not. All right, so let's flip the coin over. We've talked a lot about spending, but what about the other side of the equation? Saving. This is where things get really interesting, and we start to see something called the Great Savings Divide, and believe me, it's a huge part of this financial story. And this slide just illustrates the two worlds we're living in, side by side. On one hand, you've got the spender's ledger. It's full of all the things we have to pay for, and let's be honest, all the things we want to pay for. But on the other hand, you've got the saver's challenge, the very real struggle of trying to build any kind of financial safety net. So, just how big is this savings challenge we're talking about? Well, get ready for this number because it's a bit of a shocker. 56%. That's the percentage of Americans with less than $1,000 in savings. Let that sink in for a second. That means more than half the country is just one bad car repair, one unexpected medical bill, away from a real financial crisis. Wow. So the big question is, why? Why is this so incredibly common? It's easy to say it's just about personal choice, but it's way more complicated than that. There are these huge forces at play that are shaping our financial habits every single day. Let's take a look. The report actually points to a few key culprits. You've got the rising costs of things we can't live without, like housing and healthcare. Then there's the massive influence of social media, constantly creating new things we feel like we need. And of course, the explosion of buy now, pay later apps that make spending money instantly just so easy. And then there's this really sneaky one called lifestyle creep. So what on earth is lifestyle creep? Oh, you know what it is. It's that thing that happens when you get a raise or a new job, and instead of saving that extra cash, your spending just kind of expands to eat it all up. Your daily coffee becomes a fancy $5 latte. Your weekend trip becomes a week-long vacation. It's so subtle, but it is an incredibly powerful force working against our savings. Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem, but what's the cure? Well, the great news is that it's not hopeless. There are some really clear, super powerful strategies we can use to flip the script and take back control. Let's dive into how you can actually build a stronger savings habit. The report lays out this beautifully simple three-step plan. Step 1, pay yourself first. You have to treat your savings like it's a bill you absolutely have to pay. Step 2, automate it. Set up automatic transfers to savings right after you get paid. You won't even miss it. And step 3, try a simple budget framework, like the 50-30-20 rule. That's 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, and a solid 20% for savings. And hey, if you're sitting there thinking, I can't save that much, this quote from the report is so important. The key isn't the amount, but the consistency. It's not about dropping a huge chunk of cash into savings once. It's about building the habit. Seriously, even tiny, regular savings add up to something really significant over time. It's all about that consistency. All right, let's bring this all home. How do we take everything we've talked about, the spending habits, the savings challenges, and these new strategies, and actually find a personal financial balance that works for you? I love this table because it just summarizes everything perfectly. It lays out the common problems and gives you the direct solution. Got a problem with spontaneous spending? The 50-30-20 budget is your tool. Worried about that sneaky lifestyle creep? Remember to pay yourself first. And if you're just stuck, feeling like you can't get started, that financial inertia, automation is your absolute best friend.
You know, at the end of the day, the biggest change we can make is just in how we think about money. Being good with your finances isn't about telling yourself no all the time. It's not about restriction. It's about being intentional. It's about deciding what really matters to you and then pointing your money in that direction, both for the life you want today and the future you're building for tomorrow.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. What is one small change you can make this week to start finding your financial balance? It doesn't have to be some huge, life-altering move. Just one small, intentional step can be the beginning of a whole new path.